In today's tale, I wanted to cover the mysterious haunting of New England's Bara-Hack. But first, I'd like to credit astonishinglegends.com and werewolves.com for their articles on the strange American location. I've included links in the description below, so please be sure to check them out for a deeper dive in some of the many mysteries they've covered. Bara-Hack was once a village in the town of Pomfrey, Connecticut. Settled in 1778 by Jonathan Randall and Obadiah Higginbotham. Together with their families, they built their homes, farms, and livelihoods, which included a water wheel-powered mill and a burial ground that became the resting place for many members of both families. The original inhabitants of the region were the Nipmuc people, who initially accepted the two families as neighbors, but as more settlers arrived, their place in the land diminished, and they were forced to move on. Some believe they left a parting curse on the land. The village, if you could really call it that, given its small size, seemed doomed to fail, and was eventually abandoned in 1890. The founding families either passed away or moved on, never to return. But perhaps the word abandoned isn't altogether true, as since those days there have been claims made by many who have heard the disembodied voices of former residents, the sounds of long-lost farm animals, children playing games in the middle of the night, and even the hustle and bustle of colonial life long since past. Today, even the locals refer to the unpopulated ruins as the Village of Voices. But surprisingly, according to the stories, the strange occurrences date back to while the village was still populated. It's said that Randall's own slaves reported seeing in the village cemetery the ghostly apparitions of a baby or the preternatural figures of residents who had passed away. Perhaps the most reputable account comes from Odell Shepard, a former Harvard professor who said so eloquently in 1927, "Although there is no human habitation for a long-distance roundabout, and no one goes there except the very few who go to listen, yet there is always the hum and stir of human life. It is as though sounds were able in this place to get around that incomprehensible corner, to pierce that mysterious soundproof wall that we call time." In modern times, Paul Eno, a paranormal investigator, examined the village's remains with a group of students. These same students reported seeing abnormalities such as a bearded face floating in the air and a baby by an elm tree. They also confirmed the phenomena of hearing the noises of an active town, busy and functioning, whilst in reality there was nothing happening that could be seen. While trying to operate his camera, another member of the group said that an invisible force restrained him and made it impossible for him to move in any direction but toward the cemetery. In 1971, 3 parapsychology students from Rhode Island came to study Bara-Hack, where they encountered a feeling of depression come upon them as they entered the property. While there, they heard the constant barking of dogs and the mooing of cows and strange human voices. Months later, they returned with a larger group of students, and again, as with Paul Eno's team, one of the new members felt himself being frozen in one place and unable to move physically. Intriguingly, the ancient town cemetery has been staged to orbs and phantom streaks of light that swirl and whirl over the long-forgotten graves. Were you to visit Bara-Hack today, despite the rumoured noises of life that once was, all that would greet your eyes would be the remains of the ancient foundations of homes that no longer stand, a bridge over what was once a mill pond, and, of course, the small homes of the dead, their graves. What now remains of Bara-Hack can be found on private land, not to be approached without the permission of its owners. Should you try, ghosts will be the least of your worries. But what about you? Have you ever been to Bara-Hack? Can you confirm the stories I've just shared with you? Or have you been somewhere that once was a busy, thriving community but is now desolate and barren, and yet, strangely enough, your ears disagreed with your eyes, telling you that more was happening here beyond what you could see? Please share your tale with me at tellyourtalehere@gmail.com so that I can tell your tale in a future video. And until next time, watch out for abandoned towns. They might not be so abandoned after all.